They say King Arthur never truly died. Some say he was taken to Avalon. Others say he lies beneath the earth, waiting for Britain to need him again. But there is another story. A story that was never meant to be told. Deep in the mountains of Wales lies a dark lake called Llyn Barfog. For centuries, people have told stories about strange things beneath its waters, but according to the old legend, something much older is sleeping down there, and if the stories are true, it isn't sleeping anymore. After Arthur's final battle, the great king was dying. His knights believed Merlin could save him, but Merlin had discovered something terrifying. Arthur could be made immortal. There was an ancient ritual capable of keeping his soul alive forever, but the ritual required one thing. Arthur had to be sealed beneath the waters of Llyn Barfog, so Merlin carried the dying king to the lake. Beneath the moonlight, Merlin began speaking the ancient words. Arthur was placed inside a stone chamber beneath the water. Before Merlin sealed the entrance, Arthur looked at him. "Will I ever return?" Merlin answered, "Only when the world needs its king." The stone door closed, and Arthur disappeared beneath the lake. For centuries, the secret remained hidden, until one night a group of archaeologists discovered something beneath the water, a stone doorway, and carved into it was the symbol of a crown. They broke the seal. Inside the chamber they found an ancient sword, but there was no body. Then one of them heard breathing, slow, deep, coming from somewhere in the darkness. They turned around, and two pale eyes opened. Arthur had awakened, but he was no longer the king remembered in the old stories. Centuries beneath the water had changed him. He remembered Camelot. He remembered his knights, and most of all, he remembered Merlin. Arthur climbed from the lake and began gathering an army. Dead warriors rose from forgotten graves. Ancient armor appeared beneath the soil. Horses could be heard galloping through the forests at night. The archaeologists soon discovered the truth. Arthur wasn't trying to rebuild Camelot. He wanted to rebuild his kingdom, and he believed the modern world had stolen it from him. But there was one person who knew how to stop him: Merlin. The problem was, Merlin had disappeared centuries ago. The archaeologists searched through ancient manuscripts and discovered a final message. If Arthur returns, do not fight him with steel. Return the sword to the lake. Break the spell that binds the king to this world. And whatever you do, do not let him reach the ancient stone circle. The heroes raced to the castle ruins, but Arthur's army was already waiting. The dead knights emerged from the mist. The battle began. Steel crashed against ancient armor. The heroes fought their way through the undead army while Merlin's forgotten spell was read aloud. Finally, they reached Arthur. He stood beside the ancient stone circle, wearing his crown. The ritual had already begun. Merlin appeared from the darkness. Arthur stared at him. "You betrayed me." Merlin answered, "I saved you." Arthur raised his sword. "No, you imprisoned me." The two stood facing each other as the ground began to shake. The heroes realized there was only one way to stop Arthur. They had to return the sword to Llyn Barfog. They grabbed the ancient weapon and ran for the lake. Arthur followed. The dead army chased them through the forest. At the edge of the lake, one of the heroes threw the sword into the water. The lake suddenly went completely still. Then the water began to rise. Arthur screamed as an invisible force pulled him toward the lake. His army collapsed. One by one, the dead knights disappeared beneath the water. Arthur fought against the pull. "I am your king." The hero looked at him. Not anymore. Arthur was dragged beneath the surface. The lake became silent. Everything was over, or so they thought. Months later, the archaeologists returned to Llyn Barfog. The lake looked peaceful. There was no sign of Arthur, no sign of the army, nothing. Then one of them looked into the water. At the bottom of the lake stood the ancient sword, still upright, still waiting. And then a pale hand slowly reached out of the darkness. It wrapped around the sword, and a voice whispered from beneath the water, "Merlin."